everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Ashlyn the Eclectic Book Witch. Today's video is something I'm excited about because back last month during Thanksgiving, we went to my parents' house for Thanksgiving dinner, and I ended up coming home with this bag full of books that my mother has read and she was going to donate or give them to me. And I have only looked at the top two that were in there. I haven't really delved into the books, so I don't know what's in here really. So I thought it would be fun to share them with you and discover what mysteries lie in this bag. This first one is one of the ones that I took a peek at. It is called No Way Home by Patricia J. McDonald. And if you look at this cover, that's an eye peeking through the broken window, which I think is so creepy and cool. I love this cover. It's awesome. I took a look at when this was printed in 1989. So this book is as old as I am. But it looks right up my alley. It's described as sudden death lurks in the soft shadows of an early autumn evening. There is no escape. Patricia J. McDonald's novel is that rarity, a thriller that stirs the emotions as well as excites the senses. Her superb tale of life and death, and in the end, life reborn, is one you will not soon forget. So I'm excited to dive into this one. I don't really want to know too much more other than the fact that it's a thriller. It looks like this author also wrote books called The Unforgiven, Little Sister, and Stranger in the House. So if I like this, I will definitely check out the other books listed here. So that's number one. Up next, this one is called Afterlife. It's a novel by Julia Alvarez. And I love this cover and how it's kind of the shiny metallic looking. This one is about a character named Antonia Vega, the immigrant writer at the center of Afterlife. Has had the rug pulled out from under her. She has just retired from the college where she taught English when her beloved husband Sam suddenly dies, and then more jolts. Her big-hearted but unstable sister disappears, and Antonia returns home one evening to find a pregnant, undocumented teenager on her doorstep. Antonia has always sought direction in the literature she loves. Her favorite authors' lines play in her head like a soundtrack, but now she finds that the world demands more of her than words. So that sounds like a really interesting read that I definitely want to get to at some point soon. And I can't get over that cover. Let's see what's next. Here we've got Book of Souls by Glenn Cooper. Here's the cover. Another one of those shiny, pretty covers. This one is about former FBI Special Agent Will Piper solved and survived the Doomsday Killer case, and his reward was a forced early retirement. But the shattering truths he learned about the government's most covert operations won't let him rest, and now he's on the trail of a mysterious volume that's been lost for 6 centuries. This is the book that inspired Shakespeare and the prophecies of Nostradamus, and once Will gets his hands on it, his life will be worth nothing. His death sentence, a top priority handed down from the very highest levels of power. Intrigue. Up next, I have a couple of other books by this author with the same series. I can see them over there on my bookshelf. This is Rita Mae Brown and Sneaky Pie Brown, A Murder on the Prowl. It's a Mrs. Murphy mystery. So I haven't gotten to this series yet, but I love the fact that it's centered around has a cat on every cover so far that I've come across, and I love it. So this one, when a phony obituary appears in the local paper, the good people of Crozer, Virginia, are understandably upset. Who would stoop to such a tasteless act? Is it a sick joke or a sinister warning? Only Mrs. Murphy, the canny tiger cat, senses true malice at work, and her instincts prove correct when a second fake obit appears, followed by a fiendish murder and then another. People are dropping like flies in Crozer, and no one knows why. Yet even if Mrs. Murphy untangles the knot of passion and deceit that has sent someone into a killing frenzy, it won't be enough. Somehow the shrewd puss must guide her favorite human, postmistress Harry Herrenstein, down a perilous trail to a deadly killer and a killer of a climax. Or the next obit may be Harry's own. So this is definitely one of those series I think is going to be one of those cozy mystery series that you just like to curl up with on a cozy day and dive into. So I'm looking forward to getting to this series. I have 2 other books as well as this one to get to. Up next we have, interesting cover. This is called Evil in the Attic by Linda Piazza. That's an old school cover, I think. Let's see when this one was printed. Copyright 1991, 1995. So early 90s cover, has those vibes. This looks like a nice, short, quick read. Terror from beyond the grave. Something evil lurks within these walls. Silently it hides in the dust and the darkness of the attic, waiting to unleash its chilling power. Blood-curdling screams penetrate the night as it awakens to take possession of the very soul of an innocent child, and the deadly horrors of a long-buried secret come home to live again in a new generation. So nice, short, quick, spooky read. Let's see, this one. Okay. I've actually wanted to get to... I've actually wanted to start getting into maybe reading more Contact with Alien books. I've read 1 or 2 before and I enjoyed them. This one is the UFO Files by Jerome Clark. Tales of alien abductions, extraterrestrial visitations, flying saucers, and more. So this has... So this looks like a collection of stories over the years. Like here it has a picture of Ronald Reagan when he was governor of California. So this must be accounts from people dealing with UFOs. So that'll be interesting to read through. Tell me, are you a believer of aliens or not? Are we alone out here, or are there aliens out in the outer space? Let's see, this is... Okay. When was this printed? Alright, so this dates back to the mid-1930s, but this copy was printed in the early 60s. This is a book of short stories. A little kid must have gotten a hold of this because there's scribbles on the covers. But this has short stories. Let's see. There are stories from Jack Finney, Agatha Christie, Maurice Walsh, Anton Chekhov, Jack London, Roald Dahl, Edgar Allan Poe, Victor Hugo, Ray Bradbury. So short stories is definitely something that I have been reading more of this year. I've just fallen in love with reading short stories, so I'm excited to get to that one. Ooh, here is a book that I read in high school and I loved it. Great Expectations. I have not read it since high school, but I remember loving this book. So maybe 2025 will be the year that I give it a reread. And you can see this was I don't know if that'll focus, but this says it was a school textbook. So I think that's really cool that this is that kind of version. So I'm excited to give that a reread. Let's see. Oh, there's Stormy. And there he goes. He decided he wanted to dive bomb the camera. This one is called The Romanov Prophecy by Steve Berry. It's described as Berry pulls a Dan Brown, throwing the reader right into the action. This one is about Atlanta lawyer Miles Lord is thrilled to be in Moscow for such a momentous event after the fall of communism and a succession of weak governments. The Russian people have voted to bring back the Tsar, who will be chosen from among the distant relatives of Nicholas II. Miles is assigned to perform a background check on one of the candidates, but research becomes the least of his concerns when he is nearly killed by gunmen on a city plaza. Suddenly, Miles is racing across continents, his only guide a cryptic utterance of Rasputin's implying that the infamous 1918 massacre of the Romanov family was not the last chapter in their story. The prophecy's implications are earth-shattering, not only for the future of the Tsar and Mother Russia, but also for Miles himself. Okay, so mystery, suspense, and thrills. I can definitely see why this is compared to Dan Brown. And I do remember it was back, I think, around when the movies with Tom Hanks were coming out that I read, what are they called? I am blanking on the names. I don't know why I'm blanking on the names. I'll put Angels and Demons as one of them. The Da Vinci Code. There we go. Took my brain a second. So I remember when those movies came out and I read both The Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. I did enjoy them. I thought they were fun reads. So I'm excited to give this one a try. Let's see, up next. What are you? The Sherwood Ring. It's kind of hard to see. The writing is in there, but it kind of blends in with the background of the cover, so that's why it's kind of, you have to look at it in the light just right. The Sherwood Ring. So this is an older copy. Let's see. This was copyright 1958. It's got that amazing old book smell. I love that smell. I've actually never read Robin Hood. I do have Robin Hood on my bookshelf. So maybe, and I do want to get into reading more classics. That's another thing I want to read more of. So maybe I'll read Robin Hood first and then I'll pick this one up. Here is another one. This is called The Complete Book of Dreams by Edward Frank Allen. This one was copyright 1938. Okay. Oh, I love the dedication. The dedication says, "Dreams do come true," and so this book is dedicated to Miss Margaret Burns, who suggested it. So I don't know what this is about. There's not really a synopsis in here. So, but it sounds interesting. So that's one I'll have to give a try. Let's see, next. Okay, this is one that I had borrowed from my mother before, but she must have decided she wanted to donate it. This is called Death by the Light of the Moon by Joan Hess. This is, if I remember, it's been a couple of years since I read it. So the character in this is Claire Malloy. She's a mild-mannered bookseller with a talent for meddling in murder. So this is from like a series. So think like a different twist of Nancy Drew, something like that. So this has to do with going to Malloy Manor. It's one of her ancestral homes in Louisiana Bayou, but it's not a jolly family reunion, but an ill-tempered gathering of greedy relatives obsessed with the latest will of the matriarch. I do remember enjoying this one. It was a fun, quick read. I might give it a reread at some point and then maybe look into checking out more of the series. So I do love that cover. That's such an awesome cover. Let's see. This one is The 13-Minute Murder by James Patterson. I've actually never read James Patterson. Let's see. This one, oh wait. It's not just one book. It's 3 time racing thrillers in one book. So it has 3 stories. My foot is falling asleep. The first one is called Dead Man Running. A psychiatrist, Randall Beck, specializes in extreme PTSD cases, but Beck's patients don't know he's working against a ticking clock himself. He has an inoperable brain tumor, and when Beck uncovers a plot to kill a presidential candidate, he decides to use his remaining time to save as many lives as he can. The second story is called 113 Minutes. Molly Rourke's son has been murdered, and she knows who's responsible, but that's not enough for her. Now she's taking the law into her own hands and is determined to expose her son's murderer, even as the clock ticks down. Never underestimate a mother's love. And then the last one is called The 13-Minute Murder. Michael Ryan can kill anybody in just minutes. When he's offered a rich payout to assassinate a target in Harvard Yard, the precision strike starts perfectly, then explodes into a horrifying spectacle. Ryan has to run and his wife goes missing. Now the world's fastest hitman sets out for one last score, revenge, and every minute counts. So if you've ever read James Patterson, let me know what you think of him, because I've never read any of his books, but I am curious, and this sounds like it's gonna be pretty fast paced. Haha. Let's see. The Last House Guest by Megan Miranda. I think I read this one. Littleport, Maine has always felt like 2 separate towns, an ideal vacation enclave for the wealthy, whose summer homes line the coast, and a simple harbor community for the year-round residents whose livelihoods rely on service to the visitors. Typically, fierce friendships never develop between a local and a summer girl, but that's just what happens with visitor Sadie Lohman and Littleport resident Avery Greer. Each summer for almost a decade, the girls are inseparable until Sadie is found dead. When the police rule the death a suicide, Avery can't help but feel there are those in the community, including members of Sadie's family, who blame her. Okay, this does sound vaguely familiar. So I probably did read it, I think, because I remember this cover, and you see how it's set up as like looking out a window, and if you probably can't tell on the camera, but if you feel the cover, there's like raindrop. Okay, you can kind of see the raindrops with the reflection of the light, but I remember I thought that was cool for the cover. So I probably did read this, I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'll give it a reread. I do have a few. I've read some of Megan Miranda's books before, because I have some on my read shelf, and I have some that I have not read yet. So maybe I'll give this one a reread, possibly. Let's see, what's next? Ooh, interesting. This one is by Anne Granger. It's called Say It With Poison. And that's an interesting cover with all of the artwork. Let's see. Alright, so the synopsis for this one is, when Meredith Mitchell agreed to stay with her glamorous actress cousin, Eve, on the night before Eve's daughter's wedding, she anticipated a certain amount of drama. but she hardly expected it to include murder, blackmail, and unrequited love, or to involve a certain Chief Inspector Markby, a middle-aged divorcee with a penchant for gardening and an emotional history as unfortunate as her own. First, stumbling on the horribly contorted body of his Siamese cat. No! I don't like animal cruelty. And then on that of its young owner. Can't stand animal cruelty in books. Meredith finds herself a material witness to the only case of murder the Cotswold village of Westerfield has ever seen. And she also finds herself acting as a mother confessor to the bride-to-be who is clearly not telling the whole truth about her family's involvement with the dead man. Steering a path between her duty to the police and loyalty to her cousin's family is a difficult task, even for someone of Meredith's considerable diplomatic skills. Yeah, I don't know about this one. I don't know. Maybe. Big maybe. Once I find out about animal cruelty in a book, it immediately knocks off. It immediately knocks off some of the rating for me, so I don't know. Oh, okay. What's next? This is by Daniel Silva. It's called The Other Woman. This is a chunky book. There's the author. Let's see what this one is about. In an isolated village in the mountains of Andalusia, a mysterious Frenchwoman begins work on a dangerous memoir. It is the story of a man she once loved in the Beirut of old, and a child taken from her in treason's name. The woman is the keeper of the Kremlin's most closely guarded... Brain, mouth, connect, please. The woman is the keeper of the Kremlin's most closely guarded secret. Long ago, the KGB inserted a mole into the heart of the West, a mole who stands on the doorstep of ultimate power. Only one man can unravel the conspiracy, Gabriel Allon, the legendary art restorer and assassin who serves as the chief of Israel's vaunted secret intelligence service. Dual professions, wow. Those are some. Okay. Gabriel has battled the dark forces of the new Russia before at great personal cost. Now he and the Russians will engage in a final epic showdown with the fate of the post-war global order hanging in the balance. That would be a maybe for me. I'm not sure. Some books that I'm not sure if I'll like or not, I'll maybe read like the first 5 chapters, and if I get into it, then I'll give it more of a chance. But so this will definitely be in the maybe pile. Ooh. This is More Than 50 Stories of Hercule Poirot by Agatha Christie. I love Agatha Christie. The only book, however, I've read of hers is And Then There Were None. I used to watch a lot of the Hercule Poirot series on TV from the BBC, I believe it was, with my mom when I was a kid. So I'm actually really excited to get to this. This will definitely be fun to read. I do have a couple other... I know I have Death on the Nile and then one other one by Agatha Christie on my shelf. So I think maybe 2025 will be a year for me diving into more of Agatha Christie's work. So that's exciting. Let's see. Okay, this is the last one. This is called The Sign by Raymond. I don't know how to say this last name, but another shiny cover. Let's see what this one is about. In Antarctica, a scientific expedition drops anchor to witness the breakup of the ice shelf. As journalist Grace Logan begins her report, a massive shimmering sphere of light suddenly appears in the sky, enveloping the ship in a luminous blaze before disappearing as mysteriously as it arrived. the entire event witnessed by a breathless world audience. On a mountaintop in Egypt, a solitary priest contemplates the magnificence of God's creation spread out in the valley before him. His presence in this holy place is a mystery even to him. He is certain only of the elusive power of the calling he feels and the compulsive need to record in writing, to draw, the vision that repeatedly consumes him. In a dusty bar nearby, the brilliant glowing symbol on the television stops the patrons cold. One man crosses himself repeatedly and rushes out, muttering the same phrase over and over again. It can't be. In Boston, Matt Sherwood discovers his brother's death might not be all it seemed to be, and that it may somehow be related to the controversial phenomenon that's sweeping the globe and threatening to erupt into violence and chaos. The world holds its breath as Gracie and Matt chase down the story of a lifetime. Has God finally decided to reveal himself, or is someone, accelerating the birth of a new age in which faith, hope, and belief will fall before the altars of power, greed, and death? That sounds very intriguing. So that's definitely going on the yes pile. So there you have it, my mystery bag of books. So there will definitely be some fun and interesting reads in 2025. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are new here, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and also feel free to check out my Instagram page, also under the name The Eclectic Book Witch. Have a great day.